Welcome back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball, Part 2.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed's.
And we're doing baseball history.
That's right, we're a bi-weekly baseball history podcast where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is out towing the rubber, throwing them. Except I do this time.
You know the person. You don't know what's going to happen.
I guess so. That's a fair point that you make there.
You do. We're in part 2 of the Lingle Mungo episodes, and very excited to share this with you. But before I wind up, Edsy, where can people find us?
Well, people can find us on the internet somewhere at Doing Baseball or at Doing.Baseball, as we've said before. If you're looking for us on the internet somewhere, one of those two handles should lead you in the right direction.
That's right. Give us a rating, give us a review, give us a follow, all of those nice things, and tell your friends.
And of course, thanks for listening.
Of course. And thanks to Two Loons Brewing. As I wind up for another episode, I got my Two Loons lager IPA, great stuff at your local watering hole, LCBO, and beer store.
And beer festival.
Beer festivals as well. Great up in Peterborough. Yeah. Can't wait for a nice summer. And Two Loons, the perfect partner. And of course, as always,
please be of legal drinking age and enjoy responsibly.
Yes. So, Lingle Mungo, Edsy.
Yes, one of, if not the most interesting name that we've come across on this podcast. And I'm a big name guy, as we talk about in most of our episodes.
Well, you should go back and listen to part 1, I should say, of this episode. It includes some great names. Burley Grimes, Babe Hamburger, just solid. But as we left Mungo last time, he is struggling with an arm injury after being an all-star and a workhorse for the Daffy Dodgers in the mid-1930s.
And being used spitefully in this all-star game by a rival team's manager.
Yes, Bill Terry. So, I don't know how, purposeful that was, but let's just say.
Yeah.
They're all dead. It was on purpose.
Yeah.
So
let's blame those who are not here to defend themselves in this life.
Mungo had broken into the league at 20, but now at just 26 years old was nursing serious issues with his right shoulder. Mungo's fireball fastball was one of the best weapons in the league, and after having both the Giants coach pitch him in the All-Star game when asked not to, and his own manager pitching him then 4 days later, it was clear something was very wrong with Lingle Mungo's arm.
Among other things.
Yeah. So in 4 innings against the eventual pennant-winning Giants, Mungo gave up 7 hits and 4 earned runs while striking out just 2 batters. His fastball had no bite to it whatsoever.
Wow, what a drop-off.
Yeah. Remember, he finished the season before with 15 strikeout game, right? His next start was even worse. On July 18th, 1937, he gives up 3 runs to the Cubs and was forced to leave the games after recording just 2 outs.
Oh, God. Okay.
So he's sent home to recover. And he also has his tonsils removed. So
all right, maybe that's what was bothering him.
Maybe.
He had strep throat.
So a month later, he attempts to return, but he struggled. Oddly, Dodgers manager Burley Grimes, who had knew there was something wrong and told Terry not to pitch him, but he also has no empathy for the pitcher because he probably told Mungo not to pitch either, and Mungo was probably, fuck you, I'm pitching anyways.
Yeah.
So instead of shutting him down for precaution, because the Dodgers were crap once again and not going to win anything, he suspends him, accusing him he's skeptical whether the injury's real or not.
Okay.
So he accused him of just
faking it.
Yeah.
And just being you want to go home.
Yeah, but why would you tell the Giants guy not to? Anyways.
I don't know. That doesn't make that much sense.
Grimes and Mungo's disdain for each other had grown. After an argument with an umpire, George Majorkirth, podcast alum, over a close call at second, Mungo asked the ump, "Why don't you throw him out so we'll have a chance to win this game?"
God, he's just a crusty guy.
He's a prick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the guy. Well, how many managers has he had at this point as well? Like, Grimes is his, like, 5th manager in 7 years or something like that.
A lot of turnover.
Yeah, so another incident that makes them both look absolutely fucking nuts. Grimes, furious after a tough loss, shattered a heavy Coke bottle at the clubhouse wall. Mungo then walked barefoot over the broken glass to cut himself so he could go to front office and get Grimes fired for injuring him.
Oh my God. This is a spite injury.
Yeah. He did this.
Yeah.
You just walked on it on purpose. Shut up.
Yeah.
If you hadn't just broken the bottle.
Yeah.
So, crazy or not, in the season shortened by injury, Mungo still put up 4.3 WAR. He had a 2.91 ERA, which was even better if you before the injury. And his ERA was half a run lower. Yeah, before he got hurt. I included that. Right. So he also still led the league in FIP, which is the fielder independent pitching. So, once again, if you take the defense out of it, he was the best in the league that year, even with an injury-shortened season. And for a 3rd year in a row, he also led the league in Ks per 9 innings. So once again, this guy is a fucking star.
Yeah.
The best pitcher in the league probably over the last 3 years. Well, not probably. He is easily top 3 in the league, right?
Yeah.
So with an arm injury, he would never come close to these numbers again. The next few years would be painful for Mungo. Despite his injury and antics, the Dodgers had a chance to sell Mungo's contract after the 1937 season. But they didn't. Once again, the Dodger brass, always, it's holds on to him, even when he's trade me, and they're like, no, you're ours. So, newly appointed Dodgers executive vice president Larry McPhail was so convinced that Mungo would be his former self that he turned down an offer from the Cubs that included 4 players and $75,000 in cash.
Okay. Do you know who the players were?
No, I didn't look into it that far. But
I got you.
This is a long episode.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of money plus players for one guy for your losing team.
Yeah.
He probably should have taken the deal, though, as Mungo's injuries would not go away. From 1938 to 1941, Van Mungo's 27 through 30-year-old seasons, Mungo would pitch just 234 and 2/3 innings, putting up 2.5 WAR with 2 shutouts. In comparison to the 4 seasons prior, from age 23 to 26, Mungo had been a 4-time All-Star, threw over 1,000 innings, and put up 18.2 WAR.
Okay, and that's in 3 years you were talking about.
In 4 years.
Well, no, yes. But his poor performance there was over 3 seasons?
No, it was 4.
Oh, okay.
27, 28, 29, 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he's hurt, right? He only throws 234 innings over those years. But you'll also see he goes into the bullpen as well. In the 1938 season opener, Mungo got his butt handed to him by Philadelphia, giving up 4 runs in 4 innings, allowing 2 home runs in a game that the Dodgers would rally to win, though. Still, Mungo had his moments. His first win of the season was a 7-0 shutout against the Cubs on May 11th in vintage Mungo fashion. He struck out 9 batters and would never strike out that many again.
All right. So it's all downhill from here.
We're just riding the downslope in this episode, folks. The last one was good with some fucked up moments. This one's just all downhill. Mm-hmm. So on June 30th, 1938, Mungo pitched a 1-hitter against the Boston Bees, but when asked how he felt after the game, he was pretty transparent in his answer. And I quote, "The truth is my arm ached from the first inning to the last. I really wasn't fast. Only occasionally. I would throw a fast one. But when I threw a curve, it was terrible. I thought it would pull my arm right out by its roots."
Okay, so no media training from these guys whatsoever.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Okay.
On June 17th, 1938, the Dodgers were facing Cincinnati, and Mungo had led going into the bottom of the ninth. Ernie Lombardi worked a 3-2 count and walloped a homer to tie the game. The game went to extras, and Eval Goodman homered off Mungo, eventually giving the visiting Reds the victory. Larry MacPhail, who had a chance to trade Mungo, as I mentioned earlier, that year was furious. He addressed Mungo directly in front of the team and angrily voiced his disappointment in his failing star. He threatened to cut Mungo's salary if his record did not improve. The public scolding did not make things any better, and on July 4th, 1938, Mungo faced just 5 hitters, walking 3, giving up a home run before exiting the game, recording just 1 out.
Oh, God. They pulled him, right? He didn't just dip on his own.
I'm not 100%, but either way, his arm's fucked, and he's doing his
serving
best.
up beach balls.
And he's getting, because he was such a star for 4 to 5 years before that everybody expects the world from him.
Yeah.
And he just can't do it. So, the New York World Telegram would state, and I quote, "It is no longer a question of whether Van wants to pitch for the Dodgers. It's a question of whether the Dodgers want Van Mungo to pitch for them."
Okay. So the media is starting to
turn on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they did not. They sit him out a month. The Dodgers are like, okay.
Take some time, come back 100%.
Yeah. And he pitched okay in August, but then he gets shut down again with arm problems. So he finishes his season. He goes 4-11. The Dodgers go 7-17 in games that he started. So
Okay.
remember his numbers that he was such a good pitcher on a bad team.
Yeah.
Now it's just he's a bad pitcher on a bad team.
Yeah.
The Dodgers themselves have a 69-80-2 record, which once again led them to fire their manager, Burley Grimes.
All right. See you later, Grammy.
Who do you think we got coming in next?
What year is it again?
It's late 30s. I believe it's after the 38 season.
The Rocher?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We got Leo, and he's a player manager at this point still.
Okay.
So Mungo, as I'm sure, was worried for his job, but the Dodgers, despite voicing their displeasure the past few years, stuck with him. In December 1938, an Associated Press article said, and I quote, "The Brooklyn Baseball Club has made the approach of a new year official by issuing its annual announcement that Lingle Mungo, the big fireball pitcher with the ailing arm and sultry disposition, will not be sold or traded because we expect him to win 20 games for us next season."
They're just like he's going to get that damn 20 games. It's everyone's goal.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Well, he's still young, right?
Yeah.
He may have been back, but true to his word and his excoriation, as we mentioned earlier, of Mungo during the season, MacPhail cut Mungo's salary from $15,000 down to $5,000, and for the first time in his career, Mungo didn't protest his contract.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm sure he's not happy about that.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yes. So on June 1st, 1939, Mungo had started 6 games on top of pitching 8 innings in relief. He supported a nice 2.70 ERA over 50 innings, but a couple rough starts and Mungo was relegated to the bullpen for good by the end of June. Funny enough, though, Mungo was showing he could be valuable in other ways for the Dodgers.
Okay. It's like an Aaron Sanchez situation. Sort of.
Yeah,
Longer
kinda.
career, I guess.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good comparison, actually. Yeah. A little bit of a longer career. But I'm not talking about just in the bullpen. I'm talking about at the plate.
Oh, right, yeah, because he's been a near 300 hitter at some points.
Yeah, and the year prior, when he had a really crappy season, he was not a good hitter. He hit 191, which was what you would expect from a pitcher.
Right.
But this year, and he's sent to the bullpen in June for good, but he's hitting 391.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. So he's not once again, he's a singles guy. And DeRocher would regularly also use him as a pinch runner, as well as eventually, because of his average, a pinch hitter. On July 16th, Mungo even got into the game in the outfield. He pinch hit in the 8th inning and then finished the game in left field.
Okay. Well, I guess he doesn't really have the gun for the arm anymore, but...
Well, exactly. He doesn't get anything hit to him. He gets in the outfield for like 6 outs.
Yeah.
Nothing comes his way.
Right.
I literally looked at it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, his season would end on July 23rd. He broke his ankle sliding into second base while being used as a pinch runner. His final stat line on the mound for 1939 was a 3.26 ERA over 77 1/3 innings. At the plate, though, he hit .345 with a .406 on base percentage. Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
He only had like 33 plate appearances, but they used him as a pitch hitter later in the year, and he kept going. Mm-hmm. The New York Times reported Larry MacPhail rewarded Mungo with a bonus for his offensive output.
Here's $50.
Yeah. Way to hit some singles, bro.
Yeah.
Man.
Got this good Merlot.
Despite his arm problems, Mungo was bright and bushy-tailed about rejoining the Dodgers in 1940 because something crazy is happening, Ed Z. For the first time since his rookie season with the Dodgers, they were above 500. They finished third with an 84-68-4 record in DeRocher's first season. The sullen Mungo, who regularly looked forward to hopefully being traded in the offseason to a contender, was now battling injuries. And he's just like, now he's on a contender, but he's hurt, right? And in a very eloquently put by Tom Meany of the World Telegram, and I quote, "It would be ironic if when the spirit was finally willing, the flesh, so strong all these years, suddenly was found weak."
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that does suck that, he'd been a stud pitcher all those years on those struggling Dodger teams, and once them bums finally start to turn things around, he can't be a part of it.
Exactly.
Or at least on the field.
Yeah, that is the irony of his career.
Right.
Unfortunately, in 1940, Meany would be right, and Mungo wouldn't help the Dodgers much on the mound or at the plate. He was placed in the bullpen, where he did well in his new role. In his first 4 appearances, he pitched a total of 14 innings and didn't give up a run. But even with the lighter workload, arm problems reemerged, along with some drinking.
All right.
So,
I don't know if the drinking hasn't really emerged. It's just been there the whole time.
It's just kind of in the background with a few incidents in part 1, driving a car onto a football field and busting up a hotel.
Yeah. Just some minor stuff.
Yeah. DeRocher said his breaking point came at the end of the 1940 season, and he's hurt at this point, I'm pretty sure. He's just traveling with the team. They're on a train trip from Pittsburgh to St. Louis. Several Dodger players playing poker in the lounge car when an inebriated Van Mungo began messing up the cards.
Is that Pinochle?
No, I won't play.
Is that my Pinochle game? You bastards.
So they get mad at him, and the team or whatever, the guys playing the game, they push him out of the door, and they lock the door behind him, but it's got a glass window, and Mungo puts his fist through the glass.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So the next day, DeRocher confronts Mungo about his cut-up pitching hand. He's injured at the time. He's not pitching this season at this point anyways, but Van tells DeRocher that he hurt his hand trying to punch a porter who had spoken disparagingly about the Dodgers manager.
Okay, I was standing up for you, Leo.
Yeah, this guy, I had to punch this guy. He turned out he was made of glass. In a bad way, it hurt my hand.
All right.
So DeRocher, because the team had come to DeRocher being like, Mungo's all drunk and fucked up our card game and broke this train door. We probably have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So he knows he's lying, right?
Right.
So DeRocher is basically tell me again what happened. You're fined $100 every time I don't hear the truth.
Yeah.
And so Mungo came clean, and they're DeRocher finally kind of is the first manager that's all right, fucking stop.
Yeah.
Don't, cut it out.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers continued to trend upwards under Leo, right? Notching 4 more wins and finishing in second place in the NL the next year. The best Brooklyn finish in 16 seasons. As noted, Van wasn't a big part of it, as Van decided surgery was needed and hopefully would help his arm. Mungo underwent an operation to remove calcium deposits from his shoulder and hoped to be back for spring 1941. And show up for spring training he did, Edsy.
Okay, so he gets some shoulder spurs taken out.
Yeah.
And then, by your tone...
He heads to spring training in Havana, Cuba.
Okay. Interesting.
And this is the story, and the myth, I should say, that led me to Van Lingle Mungo.
All right. Let's hear it.
The Dodgers would train in Havana, Cuba that spring, and although Mungo arrived just as any other player, he would have to be smuggled off the island for his own safety.
Oh my God. All right.
So, as we know, he's been fined a few times for drinking and causing a commotion. He's doing his best to fight his way back into the rotation at 29 years old. But on Saturday, March 8th, 1940, Mungo makes some bad choices. So he's scheduled to pitch the next day. Or that day. The games rained out and he was bored and he decided to go out on the town. And I'll read from his Sabre bio. And I quote, accompanied by Lady Ruth Vine, the mistress of ceremonies for the floor show at Hotel National, he went for some malt and merriment and became inebriated. Lady Ruth was not of nobility. She was from Nashville. She was from a Nashville family, and her first name was really Lady. After midnight, no longer in the company of Lady Ruth, Mungo found his way into the bar at Hotel National and offered to buy a round of drinks for everyone there. He told the bartender not to skip on those 2 fellows at the end of the bar. They look like a couple regular fellows, regular guys.
Salt of the earth?
Those regular guys, unfortunately, for Van, were DeRocher and coach Chuck Dresden.
Oh, God.
DeRocher, not in the least bit amused by the incident, ordered Mungo to retreat to his room.
Uh-huh.
So the following morning...
Only I can drink.
Yeah. So he's supposed to pitch the next day, right? His game got rained out.
Yeah,
So the following morning, Mungo, hungover, he goes to the ballpark ready to pitch. And it's a doubleheader against Cleveland, March 9th. Instead, Larry McPhail and DeRocher fined Mungo $200 for drinking and told him he was being sent to minor league camp in Georgia.
Oh, shit. Okay. So
Yeah.
he gets a demotion.
Yeah. And he doesn't take it well.
I didn't think he would.
I'll read from Gary Siradkowski, which is great. He does great baseball art and stuff. I believe, according to his blog that he actually just published recently on Van Lingle Mungo, and you should go buy his book and his art attached. And I quote, "That is when things got real bad. Mungo, he slugged Dodgers GM Larry McPhail, then beat up the cab driver, taking him back to the National."
Oh, my God.
So the Dodgers...
Got a violent streak, this guy.
Yeah, the Dodgers booked Mungo on a boat back to the mainland, but Mungo didn't get on the boat. After fighting his way back to the hotel, Mungo resumed getting blackout hammered and didn't give a damn about the Dodgers. The Dodgers were pissed and got Mungo a plane ticket to leave the next morning after he missed the boat. And apparently, once again, a lot of this is whoever's telling the story, they get somebody to watch him. It might be a detective. It might just be one of the Babe Hamburger, for example. He comes back into play here. But they're like, okay, like you just keep an eye on him. He's drinking and going nuts.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers put someone in charge of keeping an eye on him. But around midnight, Mungo slipped the detectives and headed out onto the town with Lady Ruth, who had brought a friend along, Miriam Morgan, the female half of the dance duo Gonzalo and Christina. Gonzalo was Christina's husband and also a former bullfighter.
Okay. So probably a tough guy.
And at 6 a.m., they are all drunk It's a Monday at this point. A drunken Mungo and the women had found their way to room 273 of Hotel Nacional. Christina's husband at this point was curious of why his wife had not come back to bed. Mm-hmm. So he went looking for her, and he finds her in the company of Lady Ruth and Van Lingle Mungo. By his account, he found his wife, apparently in blue negligee, and the former Dodgers ace was in the room with the ladies and had not a stitch of clothing on.
Okay. And just shit-faced, probably.
Robert Sullivan of the New York Daily News wrote that the ladies contended that they were, and I quote, doing a Samaritan act, seeking to sober Van up on milk and other health-giving elements full of vitamin B1.
Okay.
This would at last this work at last proved so tiring that the ladies, not knowing otherwise how to get rid of Van, dumped him onto one of the ladies' beds. So, he was just drunk, and we gave him some vitamins, and he's naked, and we just threw him on a bed, but, nothing happened.
A likely story.
He doesn't believe them. So Mungo holds his own as him and the matador begin to fight. Mm-hmm. So he's still drunk. He's definitely drunk.
Yeah.
He's struggling not to get his ass whooped by the jilted husband. He gets a punch in. They're going back and forth. But then the dude, I don't know if he had it the whole time or if he comes back and goes. But the husband gets either a butcher knife or a machete.
Oh my God.
So
that escalated.
It escalates, and I'm not sure how close Mungo came to getting stabbed, but the fight, of course, is causing a huge commotion.
Of course, yeah.
It's 6 in the morning on a Monday, and this is what's going on. Mungo is a mess. He retreats for his safety and probably legal implications, and at this point, as the police have been called, and the Dodgers are like, we got to get you out of here.
Yeah.
So, Van attested to the Dodgers brass that Lady and Christina had graciously taken care of him in his inebriated state.
Mm-hmm. Which I can remember. Clearly.
Mungo said he passed out alone and was awoken by a madman assaulting one of the ladies, and he had valiantly stepped in to protect them.
Okay. All right.
So DeRocher and MacPhail hustle Mungo away from the raging Gonzalo, who's roaming the halls with a machete, possibly at this point. He's looking for Mungo, and the police are arriving too, and so is the media, because it's the Dodgers Hotel, and it's a big thing, right? So they're like, okay. So the next thing that happens is I read 3 different accounts. Here's the best I can. They need to get him onto a flight. The flight is a seaplane, I'm pretty darn sure, at the end of a dock. But the cops are looking for him, and there's a dude potentially out there with a machete trying to kill him as well.
Sounds like a Fargo episode.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So some stories say he hid in a warehouse behind crates of rum until the signal was given for him to dash for the plane as it ready for takeoff. In another version, Dodgers executive Babe Hamburger smuggled Mungo out of the hotel in a laundry cart to a seaplane waiting off from the wharf.
All right.
Mungo hid his bags as his bags were loaded. Then Hamburger yelled and Mungo sprinted for the plane, leaping aboard, apparently with police hot on his heels. The plane took off and Mungo escaped Cuba.
Sounds like an action movie.
Yeah. So whether he hid in a warehouse or got taken out in a laundry cart, whether the police were 10 feet behind him or still not aware of where he was.
Yeah.
Either way, they had to sneak him out of Cuba.
Yeah. All right.
So he escapes the Cuban police and possibly being killed. But apparently couldn't escape a lawsuit. So Gonzalo and Christina proceeded to divorce, and Gonzalo sued the hotel for $100,000 for breaking up his act, and Van Lingle $20,000 for breaking up his marriage.
Okay. Is that a thing? I guess it
was. I couldn't find out. He got sued. Doesn't mean that they won, right?
Right. Anyways,
he has to deal with it.
Yeah.
So he's sent to minor league camp.
Okay. It's like, we're not getting rid of this guy, but
Yeah, what the
we're just
fuck?
demoting him.
Like, I only really like the punch to Larry McPhail.
Like, he might win 20 games.
You don't understand.
Yeah.
He might.
Yeah.
He might. He might.
He's been so close.
So he gets sent to minor league camp. But like I was at this point when I'm doing the research, I'm like, okay, his career has to be up. No, he rejoins the team. He has a preseason start in New York, and then he's there for the start of the 1941 regular season. He had a strong appearance, as I mentioned, in an exhibition game versus the Yankees. Whatever displeasure and embarrassment he had caused the organization was seemingly forgotten about, and the Dodgers welcome home dinner on April 14th with manager DeRocher said what so many fucking managers, including himself, had said before: Mungo is the key to success of the club this year.
Oh my God. It's amazing that their devotion to this guy.
Yeah.
They're not giving up on him.
He's 29.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
So he would not be the key to the Dodgers' success that year. He would only appear in 2 games for the Dodgers in 1941, who would actually succeed and make it back to the World Series. Mm-hmm. Mungo, who had been the ace for some of the worst teams in Dodger history for nearly a decade, did not get to be on the field when they finally won the pennant.
Yeah.
Mungo pitched just 2 innings of relief in April before he was sent to Montreal for the rest of the season. He would pitch just 10 games in Montreal that year and then was shipped off to the Giants affiliate, the Minneapolis Millers, in exchange for pitcher Joe Haddon in the offseason. Mungo looked like he'd turned it around with the Millers in 1942, going 11-3, and earned a call-up by the Giants, now managed by Mel Ott, the player that Brooklyn had tried to get from the Giants in order to pry Mungo loose, which is Mel Ott, Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And apparently, once again, manager-wise, he names one of his kids' middle names after Mel Ott. They really like each other.
Yeah.
But you'll see. Fucks it up.
All right. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, so he goes 11-3 for the Minneapolis Millers, and Ott's like, oh, this is great. But if you really look at it, he had a 4.55 ERA and a 1.44 whip. So it was a lot of luck. Mungo made his Giants debut on July 29th, 1942, and pitched 7 innings, allowing 3 earned runs in a 4-2 Giants loss. None of his other starts that year would be nearly as good, and Mungo would put up a negative 1.3 Baseball Reference WAR over just 36 innings pitched before being shut down for the year.
It must have done real bad.
Oh, it was garbage. So, he's not good.
Because that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, it was a great, once again, you see little moments of oh, you threw a shutout, or oh, that was pretty good. And then it's just yeah, he never does that again.
Yeah. All right.
So he's a negative WAR player in just 36 innings by a fair amount. Despite the horrendous results, Ott still believed that Mungo could help the Giants and win 20 goddamn games.
God.
During the spring of 1943, sports writer Joe Williams accused Ott of being afflicted by what he called the Mungo days, proclaiming, and I quote, exposed to the sight of the pitcher whamming his fastball into a warm-up catcher's glove, he could develop that dreamy glint and predict that this was the year. Yes, sir, this was the year old Van Lingle was gonna win 20 games. For sure.
Okay. I mean, the evidence proves contrary, but anyway.
Van Lingle would win 5 games in 1943. He goes 3-7, and the Giants, who had been good for a very long time, now went from respectable to just god-awful. Uh-huh. They finished 3rd the year before, but now they dropped to the basement with a 55-98 record.
Ooh.
Mungo pitched over 154 innings with a 3.91 ERA, which was well below league average, but he did manage to get 1.5 WAR. It's just kind of like a serviceable arm out of the bullpen, right? Mm-hmm. He just kind of was he was good for some innings on a bad team.
Yeah.
In 1944...
That's where he thrives, man.
Yeah. it's bad. So in 1944, World War II, full swing after he goes and joins the Army, so he's not going to pitch that year. He's in the Army. But he only spends, less than a year in the Army, and he receives a medical discharge in October 1944. So he misses the season, but I guess the Army was like, yeah, your shoulder's really toast, but get out of here. Yeah. Go retire.
Yeah. So the Army cuts him, but the Dodgers and Giants would not.
They hold on to him. So the Sporting News, March 1945, and I quote, I missed a spot. So he does the Army, but of course he can come back for 1945, and the Army seemed to be good for this guy that was petulant and didn't have much structure and got drunk all the time and cursed out his teammates and his manager.
The discipline served him well.
Yeah, so the Sporting News, March 1945, and I quote, Van Mungo at 33 is in excellent condition after his 1-year hitch in the Army. So, yeah, everybody remember, this has been a few years since he's just 29, right? It's been bad year after bad year after bad year. Mm-hmm. Now at 33, the Daily News, and I quote, Van Lingle Mungo, who is one time might have inspired a little ditty called Rum and Coca-Cola, is now working for the giant dollar. But good. Van is bearing down with an unprecedented determination that augurs the long-promised brilliant season.
All right, we got to hear that song, too.
Rum and Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I love it. There's so much good writing in this. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of military discipline was all Mungo needed on top of a very, very thinned-out National League because of the war, of course, to have one last good season for a bad team.
Of course.
Yeah. He goes 14-7 with a 3.20 ERA and 26 starts for the fifth-place Giants. In 1946, he looked just to be another year. Mungo in spring training with the Sporting News reporting. He was in spring training with the Sporting News reporting on March 21st. And I quote, Van Mungo with 3 A's while Rube Fisher flinging 5 scoreless frames versus Connie Mack's lads. So he's doing okay, it sounds like, in spring training, but behind the scenes, he's slipped. He's not on 1945 behavior anymore. He's back to 1941.
Yeah, okay.
He's going Havana on them.
He is? He's going to Havana?
No, he's
he's just going.
The incident in Havana when he got blackout drunk and almost died.
Okay.
Yes.
He's going back to that.
Yeah, that is back. So he slips back into his old ways, and everything comes to a head on April 11th, 5 days before opening day 1946. And this is from a Sporting Life article called Fired Up and Fired. And I quote, Van Lingle Mungo ended his career with the Giants on April 11th, when Mel Ott arrived early in the clubhouse at Richmond, found him in no condition to pitch, and suspended the veteran indefinitely. Big Van, after an exciting career of 11 up-and-down years with Brooklyn, was the best-behaved man on the club last year and the number 1 pitcher with 14 wins and 7 losses. But this spring he tumbled off the wagon. Mungo brooded that he was not given enough work, but Ott said that was because Van was not getting in shape, declaring that he let it pass when he broke training several times in Miami. Van had been dickering with the Mexican League, where he's expected to play.
I love that term for negotiating. It's my favorite negotiating euphemism.
So, 5 days before the 1946 season, he's cut.
Okay.
Because he's all drunk at the field. They're like, you're supposed to pitch. And he's like, it's an exhibition game. I don't care. I've led the league in strikeouts before.
Yes. And Ott has stronger boundaries for his team, obviously.
Yeah. He's not Casey Stengel being like,
Yeah.
Mungo did not play in the Mexican League, though. I kind of wish he did, because there'd definitely be a part 3 to this.
He'd be missing an arm.
Yeah. Instead, he went to the Tobacco League.
Okay. Is that in Virginia?
I think Virginia and North and South Carolina. I didn't look into it too hard. This was 8,000 words.
Right. That's enough.
Yeah, almost 8,300 words. But late June 1946, Mungo signed with the Clinton of North Carolina in the Class D Tobacco State League. He pitched in just 5 games, but batted a ridiculous .471 in 51 at-bats.
Jesus Christ.
He's like 34, 35, something like that at this point, too. He became the team's manager just like over the season. They like fired the manager. And they're like, yeah, you're a big leaguer. You just coach these guys.
Yeah.
That would not last long as he fought the opposing manager on August 13th.
Oh my God.
In Wilmington. Mungo was suspended for the balance of the season on August 30th. And he returned as player manager in 1947. He didn't pitch. He just played outfield and pinch hit on top of managing. And he once again hit .362, and he actually hit 3 home runs. So, like,
not bad.
Yeah. Like, in just 33 games, that's a pretty good pace, you know, for a pitcher. But I believe after 1947, that's where his pro career on the diamond is officially over, I think, at age 36.
Okay.
So he's one of the best pitchers of the 30s.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
He never got to throw a postseason pitch. He's a shit disturber. He's a cheater. And he's a liar.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back at his career, like, he was good.
Yeah. Just, unfortunately, on a lot of bad teams.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, any time that a team that he was on was good, his body was not
up for it.
Was not up for it. Yeah.
I mean, I even love the irony of, like, competing against when the Giants were the best, and they were like, you know, the Yankees were great, and then the Giants were the second team in New York, also winning some pennants, and the Dodgers were just forgotten about. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it's just like, it gets eventually traded or plays for the Giants when they're shitty all of a sudden, and his team's starting to become great.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all... And Mungo estimated he paid $15,000 in fines in his career.
Oh, man.
It's basically a full year's salary in like 13, 14 years.
Yeah. So he lost
her career.
He lost a year of salary.
Yeah. Well, and like the best year of salary. It'd be like a guy losing like $10 million or $15 million or like a ridiculous amount of money. God, either way, in comparison. So Eloise, his wife, through all of this, through the Cuba thing where he's like, and he's sued for breaking up a marriage, she stays with him. Like,
okay.
And, you know, she stays by his side.
I think that was fairly typical of the time, but anyway.
The New York, no, but like there is more than that. Like he has other affairs. There's no doubt. So,
right. I'm just saying that divorce was much less common in these days. Yeah.
In a hilariously, possibly true New York Post reported article that said Eloise once confronted her husband with a stack of letters from his lovers. Mungo responded poorly by saying, "Must be some other Van Lingle Mungo."
She certainly is not. So she had the receipts.
But you know, they raise their kids, and they all stay. Like he lives his whole life in the off season in Pageland, where he was born. He works for the family cotton business and owned and operated a movie theater. He had a balcony put in the theater for a black audience, which was, I guess, progressive at the time, which, you know, they had been denied access to other theaters at the time. So that's, I guess, good.
Yeah.
But, like, he has, like, there's a trucking company. There's, like, an incident. One of the truckers gets hurt or killed or something like that, and they don't have the proper insurance. That causes some things. And then the cotton industry goes downhill real quick with other textiles and stuff coming in. And, you know, they would eventually close. The theater would burn down. But back to the start. In 1969, David Frischberg released his song, Van Lingle Mungo. Mm-hmm. Mungo was brought back into the minds of thousands of baseball fans, and his interesting name introduced him to the next generation of baseball and jazz fans. And I have here, That's Just Ken Burns. That's where those two things cross.
Yeah, that's
in
with
a
the Venn diagram. Yeah.
You have Ken Burns in the middle. Jazz critic and author Ira Gittler considered Van Lingle Mungo as one of the best jazz works of the 70s, and certainly one of the best ever done combining jazz and baseball. Mm-hmm. The song has been entered into the National Baseball Library, a section of the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum in Cooperstown. Van Lingle Mungo was included in Baseball's Greatest Hits, a 1990s compilation of baseball-themed songs, which we should definitely look up on Spotify.
Yeah.
Mungo and his wife reported that they both enjoyed the song, and he even met David Frischberg, who said, and I quote, "The only other guy from the song I ever met was Mungo himself, who arrived from Pageland, South Carolina, to be on the Dick Cavett show and listen to me sing the song. This was 1969 when Cavett had a nightly show in New York. Backstage, Mungo asked me when he would see some remuneration for the song. When he heard my explanation of how there was unlikely to be any remuneration for anyone connected with the song, least of all him, he was genuinely downcast. But it's my name, he said. I told him the only way you can get even is to go home and write a song called Dave Freshberg."
I thought he was going to punch him.
He laughed, and when we said goodbye, he said, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." If he did, Baseball Almanac does not mention it.
Okay. I'm going to write 20 songs.
On Dave Freshberg. On May 17th, 1974, Mungo was inducted into the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, and Mungo suffered a heart attack about a decade later and died in Pageland, South Carolina on February 12th, 1985 at the age of 73.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, like, I had pretty great disdain for Mungo just because he was kind of a rich, petulant, not even rich and like, it just seemed like he came from like a place of privilege, no consequences. Like the Dodgers held on to him like a royal flush.
Yeah.
And he kept being such a shithead. And like, imagine having a teammate that's like shit talking your coach
for the situations and the chances that he's been given,
and just being like, these guys suck. Like, hey, we're trying.
Yeah, we're trying our best.
Yeah, and so, but like he was. Like, without that, I honestly think like he should. He's not a top 3, top 5 Dodger pitcher, but he's a top 10 Dodger pitcher.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But based on, how his character kind of was throughout his whole career and the, debaucherous events that happened around him, I'm not surprised that they kind of sweep him under the rug a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. But like, it just never came together. Like, it was the boozing, the petulant behavior, but he never found happiness with the Dodgers. And despite holding on to him throughout many, many, many trade offers when they were a terrible team, the Dodgers seemed to share the same sentiment. His number's not retired, and you won't find him, as I mentioned at the end of episode 1, on many Dodgers top 10 lists. And also, as we mentioned in part 1, like, you probably should. He's really good for about 6 years. Mm-hmm. Like, he is as good as
Newcomb.
Yeah.
If not better.
And slightly worse than Fernando Valenzuela, who also started having arm problems in his late 20s and had a downswing. Yeah. Exactly. Like, that is the kind of comparison that you should think of. Mm-hmm. But nobody puts Van Lingle Mungo next to Fernando Valenzuela or Don Newcomb.
No.
But they should.
Yeah.
They probably should.
I think this is kind of an example of how far championships can take you in the minds of fans.
Well, absolutely. And like, imagine if he wins a pennant Probably. If he wins a World Series, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Like, in those years. So I put it together. So, once again, I think I mentioned at the end of episode 1, from 20 to 26, you know, he's basically like a 4 to 5 WAR player the whole time.
Yeah.
He goes 93 and 83 on a team that went 425 and 511. So they were about 90 games under 500.
Yeah.
And he had a winning record.
Well, that says a lot right there.
Yep. And then after he gets hurt, he only throws 600 more innings after that infamous, you know, season with the All-Star game where he gets pitched even though he's hurt. And he only throws 600 more innings. He still puts up, 5.7 WAR in that time. But being a drunk prick, I think scrubs him from mainstream baseball history. And if it wasn't for one legendary night in Havana and a song I may have never heard of Van Lingle Mungo.
Right. And we may never have told this story about him.
No.
Well, obviously not, because that crazy event wouldn't have happened. But also, we're not trying to tell the story necessarily of the Don Newcombs and the Fernando Valenzuela.
Exactly.
We're trying to tell more stories from obscurity. So
this guy was good. Like this, anyways. Yeah, no, it was. I remember complaining to my mom at the beginning of this. I'm 36. She's like, oh, who are you writing about? And I'm like, God, Van Lingle Mungo. And like, he has like a night, but like, I don't think there's going to be much else, and then just like I could look up in the sporting news and every week there'd be 3 or 4 articles mentioning his name. Like he was a celebrity. He just played on bad teams. He was one of the biggest pitchers. It's like if Garrett Cole just stayed with the Pirates this whole time.
Yeah.
That is like, I'm not saying Van Lingle Mungo is as good as Garrett Cole is, but
you're not saying that Garrett Cole is as insane as Van Lingle Mungo.
But that's the kind of thing, is it's just like he never had a chance to really shine, and then injuries, he just brought down his whole career. He was on pace to be a Hall of Famer after 26, and then it was all over.
Right. And perhaps that if he was on a competitive team, he may not have been so curmudgeon-y, and, may have...
See, that's where I still have disdain. I think he was an asshole.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just... Fair enough. Maybe it's just because I wrote so many words about him, and, like, there was just so many things that kept popping up, and I could open up... Like, there was just so much. It was just like, yeah, he's shit-talking this guy now. Yeah, he fought that guy. And I was just like, fuck, I gotta edit this down.
I can't say all of this.
Yeah. Anyways, that was part 2 of Van Lingle Mungo. And, Dodgers fans, I hope you celebrate him.
I'm going to get a Lingle Mungo jersey made up.
I think it would just be Mungo on the back. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. But still.
It was a great, it was a great name. Lots of great names in that. Thank you for listening. Where can people find us, Edsy?
People can find us on the internet at Doing Baseball or at Doing.Baseball, and across all the podcast listening platforms. Thank you for listening. Please give us a review or a rating. If you are in touch with us on social media, we'd love to hear any story ideas you've got.
Of course.
And
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time, I'm Sean.
And I'm Eds.
And we were doing some baseball.
Okay, bye.